Thank you so much. Namaste, everyone. This is AJ from India, and I'm here to present my debut book, The National Highway Half. This is something, majority of the writers tell. Always start with the ending so that you can get to figure out what you actually want to talk about. If I have to summarize this book in one line, I'd say, what if the protagonist's mother is death itself? How will the journey of the son meeting his mother be? Will he have to die to meet his mother? Or what else will happen? Now, to begin with, I've started writing this 4 years back with my friend. So, 4 years back, I was a short story writer who didn't even publish any of his short stories. I was always in my home doing nothing, watching TV, or just being lazy all around. And then this one opportunity came to my doorstep. My friend asked me, we could write a book. You have a brilliant idea. So, okay, we decided, okay, fine, let us begin by writing a book. And we started this project. And let me tell you, I've written the worst first draft ever. If there was a list of the worst first drafts ever, I'm sure mine will be in the top place, at least in the top five. So we began this like around in the beginning of 2021, and the first 6 months we didn't learn anything. I didn't learn anything personally. I just jotted down everything I knew. Until then, whatever movies I've watched, I am a movie buff even today. So until then, whatever movies I watched or whatever things I know about writing, I just jotted it down and I created this beautiful, horrifying first draft, which if I read or anybody reads today, you're just gonna have a disappointed face, nothing else. After that, I took a 3 month break, a beautiful 3 month break. 3 month break where I learned about writing. Writing as what is the brilliance of writing? Why is my writing just so pale, just so simple? And what can I do about it? I've met and traveled with authors all around the world via internet. I've listened to their talks, gone to their shows. I've learned a lot about writing. What are the stages of writing? What are the different steps? What are the different styles? Some people love to use the save the cat, three-act plot structure. The Japanese people like the four-act plot structure, mainly in which you find in the Studio Ghibli movies. They follow the four-act story structure. Some people like the circular story structure, and personally, me, I like a blend of all, a mix of everything. So that was how I began my writing journey. After the 3 month break, where I spent time on learning, the next 1 year, I wrote my second draft. This time, I was better. After writing the second draft, I again took a 6 month break and I learned more. I learned what a theme is. I learned everything and everything else about writing a book. And after that, I understood where I was going wrong in my book. This is the most important part for any author. You understand where your book is going wrong. Because when we begin writing, right, we get into a flow state. We start expanding, 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 and anything, knowing when to start, anybody will know. But knowing when to stop is something one should know. So the whole expansion process of writing the book. In the third draft, I knew when to stop, when to put a halt to what was going on in the story proceedings, when to make things emotional or when to make things interesting. And that was how I created my third draft. And again, I took a short break. This was my final break. And then we went on with the fourth draft, finally adding the final points which we wanted to be in our book. And then came this beautiful thing, ending. How many of us struggled with ending your book? You don't know how to end it until the very pre-ending. It's fine. It's amazing. You've written this amazing piece of artwork, but you don't know how to end it. You don't know how to write the climax. That puts you in a writer's block. All of you have gone through that writer's block era where you just don't know what to write. You just don't know how to end it. And yes, I struggled with myself too. And I didn't know what to do with it. The 4 month break, I literally did nothing. Neither did I do any research, nor did I, you know, learn something, anything. And then came this one person in my life. One person who has always been with me since my childhood, who knows me a lot. It was my grandfather. He gave me this one suggestion. He didn't suggest me about the book, he never knew I was writing the book. But as a life suggestion, he told me about time. TIME. The four important letters in every human's life. I started digging deep into time. Why time? What is time actually? Where did time begin? Who controls time? And as far as I love digging into the ancient Indian epics, the Puranas, the Buddhist mysticism, and ancient work. And then I learned a lot about time. I learned a lot about this certain deity called Mahakal. Mahakal, the controller of time, according to the Hindu and Buddhist texts. So, and then I started my journey into time, following my grandfather's suggestion. And then I learned a lot. And I ended the book in the right way with time as the theme. Now, remember, I initially spoke of death. Why did I include death into this? So, every book needs to have a villain. Maybe Studio Ghibli films doesn't, but most of the books, most of the writers always have this antagonist or the villain. And for me and National Highway Half, the villain is death. We have to fight against death. My grandfather played a very important role in my life since my childhood. Um, when I was a kid, right, I used to annoy him every night. Tell me a story so that I sleep. I always needed a bedtime story to sleep. Every day he used to tell me one story after the other, some moral stories, some fun and entertaining stories. And one fine day, he ran out of stories. He was like, I cannot find any story for you anymore. I don't know what to do. And that's when the game started. He opened Mahabharata, he opened Ramayana, the two most epics of India, the two most brilliant stuff of India, which I feel everybody in this world should read. They provide a lot of sense. He started narrating me Mahabharata every night. Every night, one episode, each by each, he started teaching me Mahabharata. Back then, as a kid, I didn't know, but once I grew up, I understood that these stories of Mahabharata, they became my subconscious morals. My ethics started forming because of them, because of the characters I heard about in childhood. And the characters of Krishna, Arjuna, Bhima, the Kauravas and Pandavas, everything that happens there, and the other Puranas. And every time I met my grandfather, I always used to have a discussion of the Puranas or any epics, any great sages of India. And that was everything we talked about every time we met. And in the last 6 months, there was something that came to me really hard hitting in life. It was my grandfather's death. 6 months back itself, I knew he was going to die. I could see his health going down day by day. But my book was not yet completed, the writing was yet to be done. I didn't know what to write. I was stuck in this horrible writer's block of knowing nothing. And on the other hand, his health was going down day by day. Similarly, in the book, the protagonist also fights against death. The book has a theme of the protagonists versus death, and in real life, I had a theme of me, the book, versus my grandfather's death. Somehow I fought. I fought for 6 months. I wrote the correct thing, and after writing it, right, I published it finally in October of 2024. The book was published successfully, and a week later, after I completed my exams, I took a bus to my native. I took this. I showed it to my grandfather. I gave him a surprise, and he loved me for it. Until then, all the fear he had about death, I don't know what magic this book did, but after he saw this, he started smiling. And that was the last memory I had about my grandfather. 2 days later, he passed away due to a heart stroke. And yeah, that's how this book formed. And now, done about the history of the book. Now let us talk about the book itself. What does National Highway have? Why will National Highway have um, be your next dream? Let me tell you this. I know you've read a million books, man. You've read hundreds of books. You've gone through many stories. But I'll tell you, NHF is gonna roll all over that. Not because I'm an author, but as a reader, I would enjoy such a book. Because this is a complex art. This is just not a book, it is a complex art. And by complex art, what I mean is there was a certain formula I used for the 4 years of writing. Yeah, I did discover that I used this formula at the end of my writing process, but this was the formula that I used to write this book. And that formula was Shepherd's Tune. So, if you were a musician, right, you would know about this Shepherd's Tune. Shepherd's Tune has three layers, and it is created in such a way that it never ends. It is a never ending song, it is a never ending tune. So, that is what I did with the book. This book never ends. Yeah, although it is 315 pages, it doesn't end. So I've divided as Shepherd's Tune is divided into three layers. I've divided this book story into three segments. One is the physical segment. The physical segment contains everything that happens to the characters inside the mysterious highway. The second segment is the character interactions and the dynamics that go between the characters. And the third segment is the thematic and the spiritual aspect of the book. So, as Shepherd's tune states, at the beginning of the tune, the first segment will be at the highest pitch, the second segment will be balanced, and the third segment will be at the lowest. As it comes to the end, the lower segment will come to the highest pitch, and the top segment will come to the lowest pitch, and the second segment will be the same all throughout the tune. Now, National Highway Half also follows the same formula. The physical happenings, which is the first part, that starts high in the beginning and slowly comes down to the end. And the character dynamics, which is the second segment, that goes on smoothly, balanced till the end. And the last spiritual aspect of the book, the third segment. In the starting, it is very feeble, you hardly notice it, but as it ends on a spiritual note. It ends about talking about death, about time, about various aspects of Mahabharata, Puranas. Mostly, I've referred to Indian Puranas and the Buddhist texts. So, if you're somebody who wants to read a intelligent book where it also has this religious touch to it, not exactly religious, but the cultural aspects, the everything that was hidden in the ancient era, which today is not so famous. If you want to get into those intricate aspects, this is the right book for you. And yes, the funniest part, I haven't told you the theme of the story of the book yet, right? So the story is in the year 1999, four explorers are sent into this mysterious highway. to know why is the highway actually so mysterious. Why don't people who get into the highway come out ever? So government sends these four explorers into the highway, and as the prophecy states, they also don't return. And as they don't return out of the highway, the government takes a decision to close this highway forever in the year 1999. 20 years later, this is the present timeline of the book where the children of the explorers, of the four explorers, they meet up again. They meet up again and they reopen the case. They reopen the highway and they enter into it. What happens after that? What conspires? What is the actual mystery inside that? And this book is actually a, you know, I'll show you the cover page. This is how it looks. Instead of the thing we have written Sankalpa here, and the main thing we follow is read unpredictability. Hope you can see it. So let me brief you more about read unpredictability. This is the main brand of the book. So the brand of the book is read unpredictability. Read unpredictability means you cannot predict the next moment of the book, no matter what. How intelligent you are, how many books you've ever read, you don't know what's going to happen next. I will twist the tale. I've again the three is a repeating number here. The story starts as a single line, and then I divide the characters into three groups, each at a different place. And the scenes come one after the other, one after the other. They cut each other. You just don't know which scene is going to come next. You don't know how the proceedings are going to go. You just cannot predict it. That's the biggest challenge I'll give you. And the ending is also unpredictable. So that's how the tagline of the book is an unsolvable question with an unpredictable answer. So when I open the book, so you can see here, this is the last signature of my grandfather. So this is the last signature of my grandfather, which he signed on my book, not the first copy. And there are some things I want you to know about this book. Every chapter has a beginning mantra. Every chapter has a beginning mantra. And instead of writing chapter 1, we have written it as Adhyaya 1. Adhyaya in Sanskrit means chapter. So, at the beginning of every Adhyaya, there is a mantra. This is a really powerful mantra of the deity which I mentioned earlier, Mahakal. I really wanted to bring that energy inside the book. So, I've begun every chapter with a mantra. And if you want to learn more about the book, what else can I speak about it? I've told you my story of how I began my author journey, and then I've told you about death as a theme, why I had to fight with death to write this book, and then I've also told you about the book. Now, how many of you love multi-genre books? As far as I've told you about National Highway Half, you can have this perception that it is a mystery genre with a touch of mythology. Fine, is that much how you know? I'll tell you it's just not that. It has multiple subgenres. Comedy is one good subgenre. There is ample amount of comedy in the beginning and few bits and pieces here and there. There is a beautiful romance between two characters. If you're a romance reader, also you can try this book, man. A mystery goes on in the flow, and the beast story also has a romance subplot. And if you love to read Tale of Friendships, there's a good friendship in this book. Friendship between four characters and also the other characters who are loyal to each other. Those kind of friendship. If you are a horror reader, guys, if you're a horror reader, just go for this. Because there are a few horror elements. I've also researched on the case of Annalise Michael. If you know Annalise Michael, have you watched this movie? Which was that? The girl is possessed, and the priest tries to take the ghost away from her, right? So there was this really famous case in Germany about Anneliese Michael, a possessed girl, and I've spent around 1 month studying her case. What are the scientific aspects that could come under such possession, or what are the spiritual aspects that could also come? And I've created this horror touch, and I've implemented it into the book. The book has a really good horror touch. So after that, what is that? Romance, horror, mystery, thriller, comedy, mythology. You have six genres in one book. So this is a really enjoying read, guys. It will never bore you in any place. It just starts so racy. The screenplay of the book is really racy. If you know the term screenplay, it is actually a movie term. In movies, movies rely on screenplay. There are slow-paced movies where they take you deep and into everything, and there are really fast-paced movies where it is more of action packed. Oh yeah, by the way, the book has good action also. It has around 3 to 4 fight sequence, I suppose, and yeah. So this is National Highway Half. This is my first book. I'd say this is my best work ever. I'm really happy. I'm really, lucky. Thank you for this opportunity to present it in front of the whole world. I think I'm right now live on in 23 countries, including India. Right. So this is AJ, and I'm the author of National Highway Half. So before leaving you, I'll show you some really intricate stuff. So if you think I've only written one book, no, you're wrong. I've written two books. This is the actual book, and this has all the 4 years of research, 4 years of study and planning to write this book. And I'll show you some beautiful diagrams that are in it. So this is one diagram, guys. This is a diagram of Shiva, an Indian deity. So this was how I began dwelling into the religious aspects. So this was all the planning I did, and my beginning diagrams are pretty fine. They were good to look at with a bit of curiosity. But as I kept reaching the end, the diagrams became a lot scary. So this was what I was going through during the middle of the book, and coming to the end, this is the end. Hope you can see it. So you could also say I was possessed while writing this book. Maybe. The whole point of writing the climax. Until I wrote the book, until the pre climax, it was all perfect. I had thoughts flowing, everything was going right. But the 6 months of time I spent on writing climax, let me tell you, the book initially had 30 plus climax ideas. Me and my co author have boggled upon 30 plus climax ideas, and finally, we finalized the final one. The last one, which you read in the book, is the 31st one. So what is the magic in the 31st one? What changed? So what changed in the 31st climax was I started getting possessed. So I was going into this mental state where some forces tried to influence into my dreams. I really had horrifying dreams, totally scary dreams of the deity Mahakal and his consort Mahakali. So almost around for 6 months. I really had them frequently interrupting into my dreams. I used to wake up in the middle of the night, when that such horrifying dreams, looking at those horrifying figures, because those two deities, right, the deity of Mahakal is really horrifying to look at. If you travel to Nepal, where there is a Mahakal shrine, you see the idol. It's actually horrifying. So I had that horrifying figure come into my dream for 6 months totally, and I was totally gone mad. And what happened was the ideas which I got after those dreams, right? They were completely different. The ideas which I had and writing until 3.5 years were different. The last 6 months ideas were completely different. It was more spiritual. It was more influenced by those deities coming into my dreams. And this was what changed in the 31st climax. It was not written by me, it was written by somebody else who just possessed me, and that is a deity. So, this is where I end my presentation on National Highway Half, guys. It's now available on India. It's on Amazon India. You can buy it. The international release is yet to be done. If anybody who is watching this wants to collaborate me for the international release of this book, you can DM me. My Instagram account is alchemy underscore Jignesh, Jignesh 369. Okay, it's ALCHEMY underscore JIGNESH 369. You can DM me if we want to collaborate on an international release of this book. Right now, anywhere on India, you can get this on Amazon, on Jiffy Bees. It's 320 pages of a racy tight screenplay that will keep you hooked from the beginning to end, and it will also give you the knowledge about ancient India and the Buddhist scriptures. And trust me, you will love it, guys. Thank you for this wonderful time, Virtual Book Fair of India. Thank you so much for making me go live on 23 countries, including India. And I really love this time. This is a great feat for me. This is a great feat for National Highway Half. That's amazing. Thank you so much.